Welcome to our show. This podcast is devoted to the history, installation, and best practices of fluid-applied reinforced roofing. I'm your host, Chris Ford, and this is 50 years of commercial roof restorations. Hey guys, welcome. I'm here with my Uncle Tim, and we've covered some things on video about job site setup, cleanliness, preparation. You know, we want to make you as efficient as we possibly can. So appreciate you being with us here today. And I'm going to dive in with you, Tim, on some of the topics we want to cover today. So, what do you think? Start from the beginning, man. You're a new contractor. You just got a brand new, Graco 733 pump. You're ready, and you're ready to go into production. We've delivered a tank to the job site. What are some of the things that you think are most important when you're getting set up?
Well, I would just like to say that I think probably the most important thing that you could do if you're a new contractor and you've just bought new equipment and call Western Colloid. We'd love to work with you on your first job. Help you set up, help you up on the roof. Setup, what's most important is protecting your client's property. With emulsion, it's a messy product, but you got to understand the emulsion goes on the roof, so be prepared for the unexpected out there. And if you put down tarps, having a water hose hooked up, ready to go, being prepared for that unexpected thing that might happen. We're human, guys make mistakes. It can happen, so the more you're ready to take care of that mistake, the easier it's going to be to clean up. And that's the information we share with you when we come out, help you set up your job site, and again, help you work up on the roof. So take advantage of what Western Colloid has to offer for our new contractors, and it's just going to help you be more successful.
So prior to even getting set up, so you got a new pump, and I know you and I know this, but a lot of guys don't. So the Graco comes, they build these things in their factory, they ship them out, and they come a certain way. I learned from you and the way we set them up. Talk a little bit about like the differences we make on the pump itself before you even show up.
Depending on where you bought your pump, we have a distributor we like to work through. That's Intech Equipment out of San Bernardino. They have a package that we recommend to the contractors. So one of the big things that the 733 comes with is a little bleeder valve. It's a bypass. And I don't like it. I change it out. I change it to a 1/2-inch hose with a separate ball valve. And that aids in many different things. So that would be the first thing I change out on the pump. Now, if you're buying the pump from one vendor and now you're going to need hose, so you got to choose the correct hose. Depending on what product, what system you're putting down, typically you're going to have 2 hose setups. A emulsion hose setup, which is a 1,000 plus PS hose for emulsion, and then for acrylic, you're going to have a 4,000 or plus PSI hose. So making sure that you get the right hose with the right PSI based on the lower end that you're using at the time is critical. Because when you're talking about high pressure systems, you got to make sure that you're protecting the workers and they have the right hose so you don't burst the hose. So very important that you are buying the correct hose for the correct lower end. That's probably one other thing I like to change out is the gas tank. I don't like the gas tanks on the new Gracos. I mean, they work, they're fine. The problem is they run out of gas. They're too small of tanks. My recommendation is that you change it to like a marine tank, a quick connect 6-gallon tank. A 6-gallon tank will last you all day. The tanks that come on the Gracos right now, you're probably filling it up 3 times a day. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. When you're 4 guys, 5 guys up on a roof working, you run out of gas, now everything just stops. Now it's not just one guy that's walking across the roof, down the ladder, filling the tank. Did you get gas in the morning? Do you have a full gas? It's just one more thing that can go wrong. What I like about that quick connect 6-gallon tank is you fill it up every day. It just becomes habit. And it lasts you all day. It's it's less wear and tear on somebody up and down, walking across the roof to go down and fill it. So those are the two big things, I think. Chris, do you think of anything else that I'd
well,
like
I know
to do?
that you know everything that you and I preach, and again, I got everything from you. So you know,
I'm getting old and I forget things now.
yeah. So like fresh out of high school, you know, you were the foreman. So everything that I know, I learned from you and the rest of the team that was already in place. So the way we did things, and the people we work with, the way we still try to do things, it's all about efficiency. And what I mean by that is start to finish efficiency. Like if we kick butt and put a lot of squares on, but there's a big mess remaining that we have to go clean up, well, that still counts as part of our time. If we have to repaint the side of a building because we spilled stuff all over it, that still counts against our bottom line, and that still takes time. So it's about moving with a purpose. You know what, roofing is a challenging job, man. It's a labor job, but everything that we've always done and what we try to pass along is, hey, from the way you set up. You know, we talk about the white lithium grease all the time.
Right.
We talk about all the things that slow us down. We want to avoid as many of those as possible. We want to always be moving forward and not having to fall back and fix something, not having to fall back and do something twice, things like that. And from the setup to the equipment, to the labor and where we position people, it's all about getting the most out of the energy that you're putting in and getting the most out of the equipment that you're using. With regards to the pump, I think that's it, man. We take the bleeder valve off, we put a bypass hose on. You never know when you're going to get jammed up. You know, we recommend filters for to separate the container that the product's coming in, be it a tote or a drum or a tank, and especially with regards to the tanks. Just because there's such a large container. We want to separate that from the pump, but occasionally something will happen, man. You'll get a little something, a little thicker product or whatever may make its way, and we want to keep that issue located at the pump, and that's where the bypass hose comes from. Now we just turn a valve, we run it through the bypass, get the pump back working again, get all the air out of the line, turn the valve back off, send the material up on the roof, and now we're back to work again.
So what he's kind of talking about there is we're working with a 10, 12 foot piece of hose as our bypass, and instead of say a 500 foot hose that we have running up to the roof, with the little valve that comes with the pump, it's a really small orifice. I mean it's a bleeder valve. So sometimes with the product, and this is with tankers, you can get some issues with some dried stuff. It doesn't happen very often, but it's why we recommend guys to use filters. And so if you run into a little bit of an issue, that's what Chris is talking about. All right, we got to fix this. We got to clean the filter. Now we want to make sure our line is clear. And we can do that with the bypass hose versus having to run the product 500 feet up on the roof. Their little bleeder valve, if you have a little chunky, that little bleeder valve is going to be plugged immediately and you're done.
Well, not to mention, if you're the guy bleeding it, so if I have a hose, I can stick the end of the hose into a bucket, put a lid on a bucket, and kind of stand on it, and when I open that valve and it all shoots out of there, it's under pretty good pressure, right? So when it all shoots out of there, my face is protected,
yeah.
my t-shirt's protected, and it's not like blasting all over the tanker. But with the bleeder valve, you can't put a lid on the bucket. 'Cause the pump's 800 pounds. I can't pick the pump up in the air or anything, right? So the hose is just nice.
It's just a lot more productive.
Yeah.
In everything you do. Just from the bleeder valve. It's other thing you do is you start the pump, you open the bleeder valve, and make sure you have product pumping, rather than try to get it pumping through 500 feet of hose. You get it bled off through the bleeder valve. Close that valve, and now your line's going to be full, and you can spray away up on the roof. So it's just very advantageous for an extra little 10, 12 foot, half-inch piece of hose.
No, and I want to say, we're doing this. We're trying the best we can to pass on all the knowledge that you have, and what Western Colloid has at its disposal. This is in no way everything, right? So please, this is what Tim and I do, and we love it. And we want to see if you're using our products, we want to see you be successful. I mean, I mean, just from the simple fact, like, you know, what better opportunity do we have to continue to work with you in the future than if you were successful right from go, right? And so, you know, you can rely on us. Tim and I are full-time techs that are available. You know, we get a little busy sometimes. It's first come, first serve. You know, the better you can communicate, you know, the more likely we are to show up on site and help you. But you know, him and I, we'll work. You know, we'll show you guys hands-on, and then all of this from setup and everything. If you're thinking about doing a Western Colloid system before you even bought anything, reach out to us. Go to westerncolloid.com. You know, find us as a resource. You're not on your own. Even before you have sold the job, we're available to help. You know, kind of plan ahead of what to expect and to anticipate some things.
We can point you in the right direction. What's going to be the best equipment for you to buy based on the job you have and what your foreseeable future is. So we only really believe in Graco 733s. We think it's the most versatile pump out there. They make an all acrylic pump in 833, which is a great pump. You're going to grow and become a bigger company and be putting down a lot of coatings. Having a couple 833s in your arsenal are great to have because they're the best acrylic pump. The 733 for starting out is the best pump because it's versatile in the fact that I can use that pump to spray both emulsion and acrylic. Just have to change the lower ends. And so that's why it's the only pump we really recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
There are other pumps out there. They're not as efficient. They don't spray as many gallons a minute. And it's just pretty much a waste of your money to be using some of these other inferior pumps, in my opinion. If you're buying a pump that sprays 6 gallons a minute versus a pump that sprays 17 gallons a minute, look how much production you're losing. It's huge.
So I wanted, just real quick, I just popped in my head as you're talking. So when we're working with emulsion, you know, I just want to say, let's say we're hooked up to a tank, okay?
Okay.
And that's we try to guide as much as we can. It's not our decision to make. Contractors are going to do what they want to do. It's their choice. But if we can get you a tanker service, if you're in a location that's available to you, then would you just dive into some of the stuff that precautions, things to be aware of with tanks? Talk a little bit about the value of the grease that we recommend for all the fittings and things. And
so, as Chris said, I mean, it's always your best choice as long as your job is big enough and like Chris said, you're in a location that we service with tankers. Choose a tanker. You're getting 5,500 gallons. So it's just the way to go. It's less labor wasted on moving from a drum or a tote to a tote. So a tanker you hook up, you just spray all day. You don't have any wasted labor in hooking up to other containers. That's huge. So huge, in fact, that if you chose drums, one of your laborers is going to be on the ground all day. So that's 8 hours every day of labor that's on the ground instead of on the roof putting down product. So a tanker, nobody needs to be on the ground. Mm-hmm. So that's huge. But some of the things with the safety, I mean the setup of the tanker is, we're working with emulsion a lot. I mean that's our main product for installing roof systems. We do all acrylic systems, but most of our systems go down with emulsion to start. Emulsion is a clay, asphalt, and water product that is mixed and becomes basically a tar. And when it dries, it gets really sticky and you're taking things apart. Cam lock fittings, caps, plugs. If you don't take the time to wipe out some of that residue of emulsion that's in your hose, in your fitting, wipe that out with a rag, spray some white lithium grease in there. That will aid in removing caps and plugs, being able to hook back up to the tanker. If you don't, over time, those things just become a gummy mess, and you get frustrated real quick when you're trying to
Yep.
get this damn thing to move, period. You know, gasoline becomes your best bet. You got to try and get the gas to penetrate in there. So the little bit of time it takes to wipe something clean, spray a little white lithium grease on there, is well worth it in the long run. So that's something that's really important. The other thing that's really key when working with a tanker is that you remember to open the lid, one of the lids on top. You have to vent this. If you don't, you're just going to be drawing from a tanker. You're sucking everything out of there, the air, the product. Mm-hmm. You're going to collapse the tank. You're actually going to bend the metal. You could crack the metal. You crack the metal, and we might have a big problem out in the parking lot. The tank's pretty damn strong, but I have seen it crack at some weld joints and things like that. So really important to make sure you're venting that tanker.
I see the look on people's faces and stuff, and I really emphasize this. You know, I've been in the yard. I've seen a crushed tank before.
Come back.
And you know, you look at the guys' faces, Tim, and they're like, impossible. You know, because it's huge. You know, I mean, you look at a soda can and you say, oh yeah.
And you look at this little pump.
Yeah, or you look at a 5-gallon bucket and you're like, yeah, okay, I guess I can see it. You look at a 5,000-gallon tank or even like a 3,500-gallon hopper or something, and you're like, no way, it's too big. It's not.
It's not.
You know, Titanic sunk, man.
It's an airtight container, and if you don't vent it, you will crush it.
Yeah, it gets into physics, and
you can start with just a little 275-gallon tote. Just try that. Keep the lid on that, and watch what you do to that.
Yeah.
But no, it's really important that you do that. One of the other things you got to make sure with the Gracos is that you're blocking the tires on the Graco. That thing vibrates quite a bit, and it'll actually move a little bit. So what you want to do is just chalk it. A couple pieces of wood, front and back of the tire.
Hey, Tim, thanks again for all the information. You're a wealth of knowledge on all of this. I know this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as what Western Colloid has at its disposal and what we're willing to share.
You know, we want to come out and work with you, and we touched on that. But that this is something that you could always fall back on when we're not there.
Mm-hmm. Everything that we're doing, for me, Tim, started when COVID broke out, and you and I realized, like, we can't go see these guys.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to get them information? And so ever since then, and now, you know, you can do it on Tuesday afternoon while you're driving home from work. You can go on YouTube at your house and when you're in your underwear and get some of this intel. You know, I appreciate everyone who listened today. You know, we genuinely care, man, and we really want our contractors to be as successful as possible. We want every job to be as smooth as possible. We want the building owner to love their roof and love the experience they had to the best that they can. Anything that we can do for you now or in the future, we're available. Visit us at our website, westerncolloid.com. Call us by phone. Our numbers are on the website. You can subscribe to this podcast. We're going to have more content available in the months to come. So if you're doing Western Colloid systems or thinking about doing Western Colloid systems, please rely on Western Colloid to help you in the process. Thank you.